Today I'm walking with a guest dog. He's a dog that I'm showing, and he's a champion puller. Oh my gosh, if I have him on a 6-foot leash, then it feels like he's a sled dog and I'm the sled, and it's no fun. And he's only about 35 pounds and he can still just pull me down the street, and it's really hard to get his needs met because he needs to be walked, he needs the exercise, but it's so frustrating for us both. So I put the long line on him. He still pulls, but he doesn't pull like crazy. And he bothers to check in with me sometimes because we're not just in this constant tug of war for 2 more inches. He wants to get 2 inches farther along to sniff something, and I want that 2 inches back so that he's not pulling me into a mud puddle or something like that. We just had a lot of rain in the last couple of hours overnight, and there's a lot of puddles for him to pull me into. Anyway, since I'm using a long line, it's 20 feet, cotton webbing, and he's just pulling a little now. He has time to sniff. He can go look at some things to the side that interest him without me having to get in the wet grass. And it's just so much more pleasant. Just so much more pleasant. Hey, buddy. Yeah. He even just came and checked in with me because, the leash had been loose for a little bit, so he didn't have as much information about what I'm doing if he's not actually looking at me. That's something else that's part of why dogs pull. I mean, part of it is because they want to check something out that's farther away than they can get to on the leash. But when dogs keep the leash tight, it's a way of keeping tabs on you without looking at you, without listening for you, so they can keep their attention 99% on anything but you. But because the leash is tight, they can feel if you stop, if you change direction, if you change your intention somehow. And then and only then might they divert some attention to pay attention to you. If you can walk with a looser leash, then they have to, as my first trainer put it, one eye and one ear belongs to them, and one eye and one ear belongs to you. And what that means is the dog should at least notice if you do something as obvious as go the other direction entirely. It's important if you need to change directions because a car is coming or you need to make some kind of adjustment. One of the tricks that I use with this long leash for some of the dogs that pull, because one of mine does too, is that as long as it's dragging, the middle of the leash is dragging on the ground, then I know it's loose. And as long as that's happening, we just keep walking. But as soon as that leash comes up off the ground and it's no longer dragging in the middle anywhere, I just stop. And they look back at me like, what's up? Why aren't you going? And they might take a step or two towards me, and that will make the leash loose again on the ground, and then I start walking again. And this actually gives the dog some perception of control over what's going on, because they recognize that they are creating the situation that gets you walking again. And one of the best ways that you can get dogs to do things for you is for you to set them up in such a way that the dog actually thinks they're controlling you. you just sort of let them control you with the behavior that you want. And it's pretty slick, and it makes living with them a lot easier. Hey, buddy. You checked in with me again. So, just some thoughts that I was having while I was walking this boy today. He's not my dog, so we have different rules. He's grown up in different situations and environments. But even with him, with the right techniques, we can have a nice walk. We can have a pleasant walk. A lot of times, it's like with other things in our lives. We're not going to get a different outcome by doing the same thing, even the same thing a little different. Sometimes we have to do something quite different in order to get a different outcome. And walking on a loose leash, or at least a leash where they are not leaning in, you're leaning back. You can hear them choking themselves when they walk. You can't communicate when the walking's like that. So if we take a little pressure off the leash, put some slack in it, get the dog paying a little bit of attention to you, what you're doing, then we are so much closer to being able to have any commands that matter. And this is why I start with walks. It helps me build rapport. It helps me build a relationship. It's a way I can supply that dog's needs. It can grow to trust me. Well, I hope this has been helpful, and I'll bring you another dog walk the next time I'm out. Take care, everybody.